Welcome to HudCoRadio. I'm Jim Kennelly. Anyone paying attention these days understands that the work world is undergoing a revolution. Globalization, automation, the explosion of machine learning, better known as AI, all present significant opportunities and challenges for workers, especially low-skill workers, and the agencies that support them. Here in Hudson County, that agency is our Workforce Development Board. Today, we're joined by the board's new executive director, Sharita Brown, to discuss the role of the Hudson County Workforce Development Board in our fast-changing employment landscape. Executive Director Brown, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jim, for having me.
Let's start with you. Let's start out with you. You've taken on this position in the last year. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what attracted you to the job.
So, Jim, I'm actually retired from the New Jersey Department of Labor after serving 25 years as a civil servant. I worked with the One Stop Career Center basically for the 25 years, in and out as a manager for the last 10 years. And then prior to that, I was the business service rep for the state of New Jersey, but I was assigned to Hudson County first. And so here I am.
What are the particular challenges our workforce here in Hudson County, especially our lower skilled workforce, what kind of workforce challenges do they face today?
So right now we are looking at the lower skilled individuals dealing with high cost and living. Of course, we know Hudson County is probably one of the highest living uh, areas in the state. Automation, we're dealing with that. And then there's a skills mismatch for local jobs. With the high cost of living, we are dealing with low wages. And so the high cost of housing, the daily expenses in Hudson County, it places a pressure on lower wage earners. And so it's forcing them to work multiple jobs and commute long distances. In reference to the automation, there's a huge skill gap, especially with the advancement of technology with AI, robotics. These challenges are creating jobs that we are not actually ready to, as far as the skill sets have not been developed and we're haven't been trained. And so that is creating skills roles that are obsolete. And so we need to increase the digital literacy for our workers. Childcare, transportation is also an issue for lower skilled workers. They struggle to have reliable transportation to get to jobs, and then finding affordable childcare. So those are the major issues that we're faced with right now.
Well, let's talk a little bit about how the Workforce Development Board seeks to address these kinds of challenges. What is the role of the board in trying to address some of that?
So, in reference to the board's challenges or addressing those challenges, the board acts as a strategic group, a body that will look at the local labor market information and then coordinate public and private sectors to align with em- training job seekers to meet the demands of the employers.
Now, what are some of the policies and programs that the board will emphasize based on its analysis of the local labor market data that you're seeing? Because I know that I'm correct in this that the Workforce Development Board engages with, like statistical analysis of data and stuff like that. Correct?
Absolutely. Um, with that, we are looking at we're pivoting based on the data that is the labor market information that is being given to us. We're pivoting towards the high growth sectors and skill based pathways. So for us in this region, we're looking at dealing with increasing the digital literacy again in reference to AI because technology is extremely high here in Hudson County. The data reveals that a significant digital gap among lower skilled residents. We're trying to increase that. So we're shifting away from the general educational uh, certifications that we have normally been driving everyone to, or encouraging individuals to look at. And now we're gearing them or encouraging them to take a look at the areas of growth here in Hudson County. Another area that we're pivoting to is the film industry. Right now, because there is a increase in our region for production houses that are growing. You have here in Hudson County, Paramount; in Newark, you have Lionsgate; and then soon you'll have Netflix in Monmouth County. So we are already geared up. One of our partners in our system, Hudson County Community College, already has a program that's geared for that, and it's the New Jersey Film Academy. So we're looking to increase our presence in the educational system. We're trying to make it match the needs of what's happening in the industry, in the region, and then helping to prepare our job seekers for these new job opportunities.
Now, I know you also engage local employers. I mean, some of them, I think, are on the board. I wonder what the feedback you get from local employers kind of does in terms of informing or shaping board policy. What are you hearing from employers, and how does the board, react to when you get this kind of feedback?
Yes, we do. We have a number of employers already on our board.
Right.
And so we listen to them because definitely they are in touch with what's happening in the industries, in the various industries. And so as not only do we have the our board members, but we also have a level of stakeholders within our community that we are working with. We have direct meetings with a lot of the employers to find out and hear what they're looking for in reference to the job seekers. Interesting enough, one of the main comments that we're receiving, what we have received, is that individuals are lacking the soft skills.
Hmm.
And I think because of technology, it's actually not only is it's advancing, but then the human side that that we would normally put the effort for, we're losing.
I see.
So
So you're saying, say, for example, I'm a job seeker. I should walk in, shake hands, look my employer in the eye, and say, "It's good to see you today, ma'am,
absolutely.
sir." But in a world where everyone's texting or online, those skills are slipping away a bit, you're hearing. Is that true? Yeah.
Absolutely. The communication skills is lacking in reference to the interpersonal, as well as even on the, you would think on the basic level, even with the written communication. Individuals are constantly abbreviating through text messaging. So even the actual, sentence structure are things that are lacking. So when it's time for them to communicate via email, that's an issue as well.
Let me ask you about that to follow up. So how does the board, with its various programs, outreach efforts, and all partnerships, how do you address something like that? I mean, I think everybody across the country, maybe in the world these days, in my own house with my kids, um, we are all struggling with that. So, what's some of the board's approaches, or ones that you maybe are in the process of developing to try to help the clients you deal with, the workers who need your assistance? What are some of the things you're trying to do to help that or change that?
So what we do is we will partner up with some of our local training providers, in addition to our community college. Again, we bring everyone to the table, have the conversation so that everyone is aware. And then we provide those types of programs. We'll implement those types of programs within our training programs themselves, the complete, knowing, uh, including the soft skills,
which
because that's, if as we're listening to the employers and they're sharing this information, we want to make the adjustment and try to assist because everyone is not receiving the same type of instructions at home.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's interesting when you start to talk about implementing these concepts. I suppose a lot of folks who are not, directly involved in things like, maybe as business owners or employers might not be familiar with Hudson County's employment and training one-stop center. That's probably where a lot of where the rubber meets the road in terms of what the Workforce Development Board tries to, bring to these workers we support. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what the One Stop Center is for employment and training, where it is, what it does, and also, I suppose, who qualifies. I know there's various categories, and whether it's, it could be a veteran, or it could be a certain age, it could be a certain income group. But if you could just talk a little bit about how the Employment and Training One Stop serves folks in Hudson County.
Absolutely. So the Hudson County One Stop Career Center is located at 438 Summit Avenue, and we in Jersey City. It consists of the New Jersey Department of Labor staff with unemployment members. Most people, unfortunately, find out about the services through the unemployment system. So usually the best kept secret, the system itself, but that's usually the entry point where people find us. So you have the unemployment system or unit, you have the employment unit, and then we have our other partners that are Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, which supports individuals that may have disabilities or challenges to get back into the workforce environment. We also have a veterans unit. We have excuse me, educational literacy programs, as well as the youth specialized programs. So we have representation in the one stop with Job Corps. We have representation with our youth program with Hudson County School of Technologies. And then we also have representation from Human Services. Uh, we have a representative on a weekly basis there to also service our customers as they're coming through if they need other supportive services.
Let me ask you, if I'm a client, typically, what's going to happen to me if I walk through the door? How would that how would that experience? I'm sure it depends on my background, but how would intake until I reach hopefully employment go? What would be kind of the broad steps if I was someone who was using the one stop center?
So you would come into the enter in.
Right.
Once you actually they will ask you because we have a triage desk. So they'll ask you what you're here for. A lot of times people they may think one issue, but then find out that there's multiple issues. So the first step would be to complete a registration form. Once they complete that registration form, then they would see a employment counselor. Once they see the employment counselor, then that person would then help to find out and assess what their needs are, if there's any additional needs that they may have that they're not aware of. By we will give them an assessment. Through the assessment, then we'll find out exactly where we need to actually send them. So there may be an issue with literacy. Then that person may then be referred to one of our vendors or training partners to for basic skills. They'll be tested for that. Then they would be referred. Maybe that person is looking to get into a specialized training program. Again, all of this, there's an assessment attached. Then they're referred to an actual training provider. Actually, what happens is they're given multiple choices based on their preference. And let's say, for instance, if they're looking for accounting, case manager or employment counselor would assess where they're going to go and then give them the options of maybe three to choose because it's really customer preference as to where they're going. Once they make that selection, then the process as far as training would then begin for them. Now, as far as financial responsibility, which is key, if the individuals are collecting unemployment, usually unemployment will help to provide that would qualify them to receive training. If the person is not collecting unemployment, we still have funding available because that person may just need to upgrade their skills to be more marketable in their profession or a new profession. And then there's another opportunity for those individuals who are on Work First New Jersey receiving TANF or SNAP benefits. There's another training opportunity for those individuals as well. And again, this is all through the system and we're all working together. So once that person has been identified where they want to go, that's what the training process would look like.
And this dates, and this kind of all this kind of flows out of what happened in the 1990s, where there was a connection between welfare and unemployment benefits and then moving you to being able to be career or job ready. Is that the idea? Essentially,
Absolutely.
that's what's really happening in this.
Right.
And the good thing, I suppose, for our listeners to understand if they know someone who might be in need of these services is they're government services. So they're free to anyone who walks through the door, essentially. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about how you measure the effectiveness of the board's efforts. Now, as executive director, you ultimately, I suppose, are sort of the person who has to see how things are working. And I know, obviously, it's always a work in progress because the challenges that we've talked about have changed. But I wonder, is it as simple as kind of looking at the unemployment data, or in terms of kind of the core internal data that you guys develop when you are looking at X number of clients went through the door, X number of clients have found employment over during the period, say, I know it's a 5-year period, for example, with welfare benefits. Um, what are kind of the ways you measure your own success when you have to then go back to the state or the federal government and say, this is working, this isn't?
So our effectiveness is measured through a combination of federal performances, indicators, and that the data is driven by. Um, for us, we measure the job driven system, which requires a combination of our residents and the businesses. So for our major programs, it's the federal WIOA performance indicators. That is and WIOA stands for Workforce and Innovation and Opportunity Act. So we're held accountable based on the outcomes that our participants are going through, the programs that they're going through. And we have to negotiate that with the New Jersey Department of Labor annually based on, our what we're seeing in our area versus what the state may have. So we're looking at the employment rate, which is the percentage of participants employed in uh, the second and third and fourth quarters after exiting a program. We're looking at the median earnings, which is usually the middle range income participants will receive after they have gained employment. Another criteria or indicator would be the credential that they attained. We look at the rate at which the participants earn industry valued degrees or certificates during and after their training. And then basically the last portion of that would be the real time tracking of the credential and then employment that would be led to after completing that. We also have a monitoring and evaluation portion for each program. So we look at that and we will do that on a quarterly basis, reviewing what's what the reviewing what the data is showing us for each program. We also will pilot programs and we'll look at the metrics of that to show us whether or not we should continue in this area or not. So those are usually the major measuring methods. But then the last is human metrics. We get the feedback from our participants letting us know what they valued in the training program, getting their feedback. And what we will be implementing is a report card to indicate and show whether or not this training was valuable to them, and they will have a direct way to communicate with us and let us know that it was valuable, it wasn't, what could be better. It not only to increase our working relationship with our training partners, but then we would also want to make improvements. And so that's what our biggest, is that human metrics that we're looking to really build to find out what people are experiencing and to make the system better.
Yeah, because I suppose at the end of the day, if no one's making widgets anymore, you can't send people out to be widget makers. So you've got to year kind of see where things are at and move forward that way. I wanted to talk with you a little bit about the idea of why a board overseeing all this. You have a number of members on the board. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what having a board, and I know having, visited the website for the Workforce Development Board for Hudson County. It has an interesting mix of business, governmental officials who all obviously bring different expertise. Could you talk a little bit about the value of the board, the members that you have within it? I know there's a bunch of committees. If those committees have any significance you want to talk about, but what is the value, I suppose, of having kind of a group overseeing this approach versus you just say yourself as one official?
So the board itself, and what I did mention is that there's 17 workforce development boards in the state of New Jersey. So we're one of 17. We're all governed by the New Jersey Department of Labor and the US Department of Labor. So we have a total of 20 board members
On
with
our workforce
on
development
our
board.
board, on the Hudson County Workforce Development Board. We have 20 members. We have 12 in the private industry. We have uh, one that's community-based organization. We have two that are organized labor members. We have two education institution members, and then we have three government partners. The NJ, I'm sorry, the New Jersey Department of Labor partners are automatically a part of our board, but they are not voting members of our board. So we would have representation from the one stop in reference to New Jersey Department of Labor, the employment services, as well as unemployment, and then the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. With that, the board itself, of course, it's comprised of all of these members, and we, as as a board, we have the goal and mission to oversee the operations and the policies that are being set for our system as a whole. So everything that's happening at the one stop, what's happening in reference to training, what's happening in reference to working with employers, all of this is actually being devised by our board. Having these members, a very diverse group, we have business individuals who have multiple businesses. We have individuals who are, banking representative, HR representatives, lawyers. realtors. We have a very diverse group of dynamic members who help to shape all of this, the policies, the overseeing the operations. And everything that I do is being supported by the work that they do as volunteers,
Mm.
because all of them are volunteering to be on the board. They are selected by our county executive. So these individuals we know are committed to making our system better, helping, giving back to our community to make things better for people that are less fortunate in um, to empower, our youth, the individuals who are having disadvantages in life. And so it's been a pleasure working with this particular board, and they're very excited about doing the work.
Yeah. No, it seems as though you would want, if you were involved with organized labor, or if you were involved with wanting to just build a stronger workforce, if you're an employer, you're going to want to do what you can, if you're interested in this community, to help shape how workers are, trained or retrained, or more able to be effective workers because of the various stresses that they may possibly already be on them. So that makes a lot of sense, I suppose.
Right.
And I guess you break these folks down into various subcommittees and things like that that are kind of their areas of expertise and all. Is that the idea?
So it's interesting because the committees, so we have actually 7 committees. It may have been one that was missing on our website we have to add. But we have our executive committee, we have our finance committee. Those 2 committees are actually the same members. Our executive committee team, they're making the overall, decisions in reference to uh, how the in certain directions we need to go. They'll steer, and then they'll also then bring back information to the entire board. So we and I particularly lean on the executive committee, and they serve both roles on our finance committee as well. Now, the other committees, what we did was we wanted to find out, because every committee is actually head by a voting board member. And what we wanted to do is find out where their interest was. So it wasn't so much that they were in that particular industry, or w- they wanted to, we requested of them to let us know where they would like to serve.
So I could run an accounting firm, but I might be concerned about what's going on in the future of youth services, and then I end up on that committee. Is that the idea?
Absolutely. So we have the One Stop Partners Committee. With that committee, they provide the oversight and guidance in the development of programs that are established, and the matrix that are established for the One Stop. Uh, Hoping and the goal would be to help the One Stop meet and exceed the standards that are being placed on them. The Disability Committee, that committee works to enable individuals with disabilities to have universal access to employment opportunities. And with with this particular committee, we do have groups or agencies that specialize, that's their area of specialty. But the individual that's actually heading that is actually is in the healthcare industry. Literacy committee, uh, we in that particular committee, it identifies and analyzes local resources, programs, and services to recommend how to improve the quantity and quality and delivery of literacy programs. Now, that particular committee is headed by one of the members who does lead one of our literacy programs here, and we really needed someone to be in that area of expertise because of the nature of it. The Youth Investment Council Committee, that's definitely speaks for itself, our youth programs. It strengthens the capacity of the education and the youth development and training programs that are being offered in our system. We have a heavy enrollment of youth programs. We have members from our Hudson County School of Technology. We have members from the Job Corps. We also have the New Jersey Youth Build, and then we also have New Jersey Youth Corps. So that is that particular committee does have and represent members that are truly in the industry because of the nature of it. But then we also have members that are just, interested in working with the youth. And then our last committee is a business committee. And with that, again, trying to speak to the business and community, making sure that we are not missing the mark and we have their voice, you know, being represented, and then we can speak to that and bring that back to the board. So each committee, they have their own meeting times. Anyone can join. So other individuals, but again, a member of the board has to actually head the committee and does head the committee, and but as others that are participating, they're welcome to join.
So it's essentially on a volunteer basis, and it doesn't rise to the level of, say, of an appointment from the county executive the way a membership on the larger workforce development board would.
Absolutely.
Well, one final question for you. How can residents or maybe employers or maybe folks just interested in the issue of workforce development, how can they learn more about or how to access your services? How can they reach you?
So our website, Jim, is www.hcjcwdb.org. And again, www.h for Hudson, C for county, J for Jersey, and C for city, W for workforce, D for development, B for board, .org, HCJCWDB.org. We're located at One Journal Square Plaza, third floor, Suite 303, Jersey City. And our email is info@hcwdb.org. Again, info@hcwdb.org. And our telephone number is 551-235-4200. Again, 551-235-4200.
Thank you so much for all that information. Sharita Brown, Executive Director of the Hudson County Workforce Development Board. Thanks again so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
To keep up to date on county government news and alerts, be sure to follow us on Twitter at HudCoTweet and on Facebook at HudCoFB. To see photos and videos of county government events, follow us on Instagram at HudCoInsta or subscribe to our YouTube channel, HudCoTV. You can find HudCoRadio and hopefully subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks as always to Hudson County Executive Craig Guy and the Board of County Commissioners, who sponsor, support, and direct all the programs and services discussed on this podcast. Take care.